Hey everyone, in our last update on Marathon Digital Holdings and Riot Blockchain, we were in the middle of a blowout sale and the price kept dropping. Even after that, seemed like we couldn't find a bottom, but over the past few days, we've seen quite a powerful rebound that is possibly going to put that bottom behind us in the rearview mirror. We're seeing similarly bullish action across many different asset classes, including the cryptos themselves, altcoins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and even the stock market. This is an update specifically again on Marathon Digital Holdings or MARA and Riot Blockchain, which is Riot. There may be other crypto blockchain companies out there, crypto mining companies that I'm not covering yet. However, they may be covered in future updates. So keep me posted in the comment section if you have any suggestions. These charts, as always, will be available in the description below. So again, there will be links to these TradingView charts in the description below in case you are interested. But without any further delay, looking at the close-up picture of Marathon, this looks pretty impulsive. This has the look of a 5-wave impulse. I have it counted as such, as you see in purple here. We've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this would be best classified as a 5th wave blow-off extension. So this is a little unusual, unorthodox. However, we are following all the rules of an Elliott wave impulse in which the 3rd wave is not the shortest of the 3 motive waves. There's no overlap between the 4th and the 1st. And well, other than that, it's got that 5-wave shape to it. This is, again, 5th wave extension, unusually high extension for 5th wave. You often see that in commodities. We have the 3rd wave subdivided into 5 waves as well. And the 1st wave doesn't always have full development. So I'll call that an impulse. That's the optimistic view. If that is the case, we have our 1st wave in the form of a 5-wave impulse, and we are very likely done with the 2nd wave pullback. And therefore, Rocket is about to launch, at least in the short term. There is a bearish alternative to this. That is what you see in red. And it'll become more apparent in the Riot chart, which we're going to go over in just a second. But that could see this whole thing as an ABC fake out rally. The proportions do make sense for this to be an ABC, but you can't really deny a 5-wave impulse when there is one, as you see here. Now, shifting over to Riot before we get too carried away, same kind of thing. Our rally was not initially as impressive for Riot as it was for Marathon. However, our 5th wave has gotten where it needs to go. It got to the 1.764 extension. So at worst, could be a leading diagonal, but I'm going to call this an impulse. Either way you cut it, it's 5 waves up. You could call that an ABC up here maybe. And well, that last 5th wave looks like an impulse. So same formation here with a 2nd wave, very likely complete. And we start to launch back up the other way. We had an 8% up day in Riot. So it's actually caught up to Marathon and it's looking possibly even better. Here, we also have the alternate in which it actually looks more convincing, like an A, B, and a C wave pattern. Although this big kink here that we're calling the 4th wave of our purple pattern does throw a wrench into this interpretation. So I don't see it as strong of a possibility here. However, if we do have downside coming, this could convincingly be a 1st wave down. This has a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5th wave down. So this could be interpreted as a 5-wave impulse with a 3-wave corrective bounce. That would be our 2nd wave. So we're going to have to keep powering up through our pivot region, which is between 563 and 589. That is common to all of our Elliott wave charting patterns, in which we want to get through this 0.618 to 0.764 extension in order to convince us that we really are done with the previous pattern. This isn't just some fake out or a 5th wave, anything like that. We are really in the 3rd wave up. The same applies again in Marathon. I have this chart built out a little bit with a little bit more detail, and this has us possibly done with a micro 1st wave. This actually could be counted as 5 up with 2nd down, and we're in the middle of the 3rd of a larger 1st wave. That's what you see in with the circle 1 notation. That would take us into the standard region where you'd expect us to test that pivot region again, 0.618. In this case, 933 would be that bottom of that box for Marathon. And eventually, we'd like to see our 3rd wave for the 3rd of the 3rd get up to somewhere over $10. Eventually, the bigger 3rd wave, or the 5th of the 3rd, should get us past $13. And eventually, this entire thing should top around the $14, $15 mark. Although things could get moving much faster once we look at the big picture chart. If you are looking to go in, possibly with leverage even, you could actually make a play here. I actually made a very small play for a $10 call for September of 2022 for Marathon. Very small speculative position. I would not want to go too far in until I get more of a setup. So ideally, you would wait till this entire first wave completes and you have a second wave pullback and then go long. We'll go over that on the big picture chart. Otherwise, you could play a little shorter, maybe not quite day trading, but short-term swing trades for a matter of days. Maybe at the bottom, this bigger second wave could go from $7, $8 all the way up to maybe $11 or $12. That could be a lucrative haul for a leveraged play. Now, we've seen, again, similar action in the cryptocurrency space and in the stock market as well. At the end of the day, these are equities. These are still stocks. So they will largely move along with the stock market. If you watch my video on the everything top, you should know by now that we've had several major inflection points shared between cryptos and the stock market. This is the Bitcoin chart, and this is the major third wave top. That was the original crypto mania that that got everyone's attention for the crypto space. That coincided more or less with the top in the stock market, which probably trailed by a couple of months, maybe February. Long sideways fourth wave consolidation and one final fifth wave to complete this. This is, of course, again, the Bitcoin chart. But if we look at the stock market, in this case, looking at the Dow, these the similarities are uncanny. This was our top way back here officially, January of 2018, end of January. Big fourth wave. That was that ended with the March 2020 crash, in which we saw a dip in cryptos. And then we very likely have 3 waves up, fourth wave down, and a fifth wave to complete. So we'll revisit that in just a second. Short-term picture, we're seeing some healthy bounces in the stock market. This is the ES mini futures, which trades around the clock. And I look at this because sometimes it'll run ahead of cryptos, which do trade over the weekend, while this doesn't, or vice versa. It just depends on the timing. But we have what looks like some kind of a diagonal pattern setting up, in which you can call this an A, B, C up, possibly a B wave down that would end down here. And we've probably started at least a C wave. So may not be the most bullish picture long-term, but we got ourselves something, and something is better than nothing. Now, shifting to the big picture, I'm going to start off with Riot because it's already on Riot. Really haven't changed too much. I did retrace these patterns a little bit based on the slightly lower low that we have gotten, but we still need to see one final impulse. We are seeing that bottom in March of 2020 as the beginning of a larger structure. And well, we actually did break the impulsive structure of this. So this really probably it's not an impulse at all by textbook standards. So maybe it's a diagonal, or there's another possibility. It looks stronger here that you got an A, B, C. This whole thing could be an A wave. We may be in a B wave now, and there's going to be a final C wave to come. And that's not really bad news, because C waves will often extend to the 1.0 extension of the A wave. So I'm going to actually demonstrate that here. I used a lot of words. Picture is worth 1,000 words. Perhaps this is what we could expect. Maybe it goes a little higher. I'm going to bring this up to the right degree. Again, I'm not going to keep this on the chart. This is just to illustrate what I'm getting at here. And I know I'm making it red, but it stands out. I'll leave it as red. But perhaps this counts best as an ABC rally for our A wave, some kind of an ABC pullback for our B wave. And we got one final C wave to go. Regardless, we would see an impulsive structure, and this would make things more bullish because, again, because of the 1.0 relationship between the one-to-one relationship between the C wave and the A wave, could mean we project higher. So that is pie in the sky at the moment. We do need to see more upside in Riot. Specifically, we need to see that bigger first wave. When we look at our small picture chart here, based on the extensions we have, this is projecting up somewhere around $7, $8. On the big picture, $7 or $8 falls about right over here. So very likely the completion of this impulse is probably just the first wave of this larger first wave. So I would like to see that complete really soon. That'll get us going, and that could make for another better leverage opportunity to play this first wave, which I'm just going to say ballpark it probably will top in September. So that's not the play that I'm making right now. What I'm playing is the smaller first wave. So that would hopefully materialize by the middle of August. Now, this is, of course, Riot. Looking at Marathon, this chart is cleaner and has been cleaner the whole time. The correction has been pretty deep here. We just barely have held on to our impulsive setup because technically we didn't overlap the first wave, but it's very close. So all the things I said about Riot apply here as well. Perhaps this is a big A, B, C, with this being a B wave and a C wave left. Or maybe that's the top of the A wave there, and this is just a big expanded B wave flat with the final C wave to come. Again, that is not a bad thing, because if this does end up being a C wave, it would very likely project higher than this conventional fifth wave is projecting. So possibly by our next update. I'll have this update to reflect that alternate, but I'm going to leave those off the chart for now to keep things simple, because right now we're still fighting a battle up close. In Marathon specifically, I mentioned that our impulse projects to about, let's see, maybe $13 to $14. When you look at the big picture chart, that falls about right in the middle of here. So perhaps that will be the first wave of this larger first wave. That'll be a very bullish sign if that's the case. So same story with Riot. And again, once we start getting these completed impulsive 5-wave structures to the upside, we can start making much more robust projections on what we expect to see bigger picture, because we do still expect to see one higher high. Now, here's where things get interesting. You guys already know the details. Again, wait for 5-wave impulses before going leveraged. And of course, I did hint earlier, I promised that we'd mention the best place if you are trying to go leverage would be to wait for this larger first wave to complete and then wait for this second wave to complete here. Once you have a 1-2 setup, you can go leveraged long, and that could take you from maybe $13, $14 to $100+. That could be a spectacular haul. So be patient. There's a lot of upside. Now, back to the regularly scheduled programming, timing projections coincident or confluent inflection points on our big picture chart. I mentioned that I do expect one final rally. That will be the 5th wave. This view holds common to pretty much every asset class, whether it's energy, bonds, stock market, the different sectors of the stock market, or cryptocurrencies. We're looking at the same picture. And this is probably my cleanest chart with the least chicken scratch on it. Hopefully you guys can follow along. Again, we had a major third back at the end of 2017. 4th wave completed either in end of 2018 or middle of 2020. Depends. Different charts show different things. Bitcoin sees this as a big 1-2. And this whole thing as potentially a diagonal pattern, almost pretty close, halfway between impulse and diagonal. And when you look at the trend channel lines, they more or less project some kind of a topping structure in 2023. Now, I've used some rules. If you want to check out my video on the everything top on this channel, check it out there. I dig into far more detail on how I'm projecting these timings. It's not an exact science, but there's an uncanny confluence in that time region. Sometime in the middle of 2023, some asset classes will run ahead. Possibly we see energy, finance, healthcare run ahead, and other asset classes may lag behind. The S&P looks like it may top a little later, but when we extend our pattern, we use a time Fibonacci from here, the beginning of this pattern, to the 3rd wave top, to the bottom of the 4th wave. Our 0.61 extension does place it somewhere at the end of February, early March 2023 as a potential 5th wave top. In addition, the trend channel analysis does actually project a little sooner, so it's really hard to say for sure where we're going to end up. But this box gives you a pretty nice wide target range for where or what time we're going to see the top. And as I mentioned, this could be a major top in which you have confluences across many different asset classes. Obviously, we have Marathon. I have a similar analysis done here, which I covered in the Everything Top video. This is calling for a top possibly in February of 2023. Riot is calling for a top a little bit later. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This January. So this could be middle of January 2023. Again, very approximate estimates. We don't know until we know for sure, especially the way this has gone on, how things have unfolded, this super deep correction. That'll be an exciting time. After that, we may be in a prolonged bear market, which I'm not going to cover too much for now. But just note that, again, it may have felt like doom and gloom. The market would never come back. But we're starting to see signs of a turnaround in, again, cryptos, the S&P, and crypto blockchain space. So stay optimistic. If you are accumulating, it's not a bad time to keep doing it. Don't put everything into one basket. Spread it out bi-weekly, bi-monthly, whatever you want to do. Don't overkill. These are still speculative growth stocks. And when these things turn around, you're going to see a similar turnaround in many different asset classes. Maybe safe to go with ETFs. There's also BITO, that ETF, which you can make leverage plays on Bitcoin with. I'm using Bitcoin as my primary representative for crypto sentiment. So as Bitcoin and to a lesser extent Ethereum go, I would expect RIOT and MARA, Marathon, to go as well. And the stock market, of course, gives us plenty more clues. Right now, it's giving us a short-term bullish indication to the upside. As I mentioned, after that top, things could go crazy. But in the meantime, we still have an incomplete structure. We're very oversold. We're seeing an MACD divergence in Riot and I believe Marathon. Yeah, very clear divergence here. There should be some upside. So don't lose patience, but don't panic sell, don't lose hope. Subscribe so you don't miss my updates, because I'm going to be watching this and putting out more videos on this more frequently as we get more of a structure set up, because I'm in on this too. I'm excited about this play and the incredible potential possibly for leverage trade. And if not leveraged, could be insane potential for even people that are just holding the stocks. If you enjoy my video, don't forget to give me a like. And until next time, thank you for watching and happy trading.